day decided to kill my ego. It never done me no good, no how. Gonna break through and blast off to the bar door, hitting them flowers of light, far away from here and now. Taking a 49 divine day vacation from reality and all else in between. Gonna transmigrate to my destination, far beyond time in an eternal dream. Am I dreaming? Am I dying? Either way, I don't mind at all. But it feels so good, just can't help but cry. Oh, you have to let go, so may fall.
I think I'm ready to go. Looks like I am. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am Bob Davis, and I am honored to be your worship leader today at UUCP. Welcome to UUCP's online worship service. At this time, I'll check. Sorry, folks. Am I good to go? At this time, when we are physically distant, we believe it is an act of love and radical inclusion to worship online and to be together in this way. Welcome to our worship. Welcome home. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on our diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equality shape everything that we do. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability and disability. We welcome you and your whole self, your family, however you define it, into our worship. As we build a community of caring, courage, and hope. I invite you to grab a chalice or a candle from your home as we recite our covenant and light our chalice together. I don't have one. I'm going to light my light back here. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant.
Good morning, Bob. So glad to have you in our pulpit or our lectern this morning. Okay, so let me introduce our worship team. I am Sam Kirkland, your worship associate today. Our music director is Benji Messer, and our pianist is Mary Coda. Our director of children's ministry is Katie Resendez. And our Zoom operator today is Justin Walgren, and our chat chaplain today is Brad Chaplin. Our communications and technology coordinator is Becca Briley from Sedona, Arizona. Our chat is open. You can chat with everyone or just to our panelists. Our service is automatically captioned for maximum accessibility. As always, we invite you to check into UUCP on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. Announcements. There is so much to do in our community, which you can find in our newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass at our website, phoenixuu.org. Check it out, it's worth your time. Our offering is being collected virtually, just like our service. We ask you to be generous in your giving to support the mission of our beloved community. You can text UUCP to 73256. You can donate through the website, or you can send a check. And if you haven't sent in your pledge for the next fiscal year, please do so as soon as you can. You can find the link in our chat. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful. Today's service is about learning from children. For our opening hymn, UUCP member Dave Bellum will lead us in a spiritual that's often taught to children, This Little Light of Mine. Please feel free to sing along.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, everywhere I go, high, low, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, high, low, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, high, low, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Don't hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Don't let nobody blow it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let nobody it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let nobody it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, everywhere, I'm gonna let it shine. Yes, all around the world, everywhere, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, everywhere, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Community. My darling, wonderful, beloved, so beautiful community. Stop doing that. Stop thinking that you should be operating at 100%. One, no one ever expected you to be perfect. No one ever expected you to do all the things all the time, all at once. You weren't supposed to do that. But two, this thing that you keep pushing yourself into to try to do the groceries and try to pay all the bills and get to work on time and take care of all the things and make sure the house is spotless and the car is clean and the roof is done and the walls are painted and everything's done. You forgot we are still in a pandemic. We are still putting all of our energy to surviving and to helping one another survive. And yes, I know there are things from before, from over a year and a half ago, that you were really good at and really proud of. We are still really proud of you for all of those things, but you don't have to keep pushing yourselves to do them. Give yourself some slack. Take lots of deep breaths. Don't push yourself to be anything more than what you can be in this moment. We are still working towards survival. Yes, it's been a long time and it's been hard and things keep changing and we keep wanting it to get better and better and better. And you know what? It's not yet. So we got to keep working on that. And that's the standard that we need to hold ourselves to. Are we surviving? Are we helping each other survive? Are we helping each other through the grief when some of us aren't surviving? Stop holding yourself to perfection. Stop. And instead, hold yourself in love and let the rest of us hold you in love. Hi, folks. I'm Katie Resendez. I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at UUC Phoenix. I was given access to lots of Post-it notes this week. And I was thinking about the ways that adults get anxious. Remember a few weeks ago, I talked about how adults are weirdos sometimes, and they say really strange things, especially when it comes to like gender or when it comes to talking to kids about school and those kind of things. So here's what I figured out. At some point, most of the people who are over the age of 22 got broken. They had brains as kids that were fluid and flexible and awesome. Sometimes we say, be like water. And as kids, these people were like water, but then we broke them. And society said different things and told them different things and asked them different questions, and it started to freeze up the edges of the water, put them into coffee mugs, put them into those tall, thin glasses that break all the time. I think they're called flutes. And they stopped being able to be like water, and they stopped being able to flow. And they had all these boundaries and definitions. And so I've been thinking why this happened and when this happened. And kiddos, I've been talking to some of you, and you told me when you see it happen and where you see it happen. It's when people started asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because you see, as kids, we thought we already were something. We already felt our own boundaries and fluidness and water. So when they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? As kids, we had to figure out what that meant. And as teenagers, people said a lot of stuff about who we were. And if you dressed all in black one day, it was, oh, you're going through a goth phase. They'll pass through before they figure out what they're going to be. Or, oh, they're a jock right now. Oh, they're such a nerd. I'm just waiting to see who they're going to become. Somehow, somewhere along there, we forgot that teenagers are already people. They're not becoming anything. We're not waiting to see who they are. They are them. So are little kids, so are adults. But it was all those boundaries and words and questions that came in and crunched us in. Now, kids, this may seem wild to you. You must be like, well, who did that to them? I blame television shows, but it was a whole lot of things. And we're unlearning that from you all. But I think it's important, kiddos, that I give you a picture of the wild stuff that we were taught as kids. This is wacky, okay? First, look up here. We were taught that you had to either be a boy or a girl. You could be one or the other. Boys got blue things, girls got pink things, whether or not you liked the colors. Girls got bows and glitter and sparkles. Boys got baseballs and mud and dirt and comfier clothes and pockets. Men get pockets too. And we also got those questions. What are you going to be when you grow up? And we figured something out right away, that it wasn't, I'm going to be brave or courageous or creative, or I'm going to be tired and I'm going to be a little scared. It was, how are you going to make money? Tell me at 9 years old how you're going to make money as an adult. I know, kids, that's a wacky thing to ask someone, right? Also, we were told that whether you were a girl or a boy determined what you could do to make money. If you were a girl, oh, and by the way, you didn't get to choose whether you were a boy or a girl. Someone else chose that for you. Let's see. If you were a boy, you could be things like a pilot. You could work in a factory. You could be a farmer. You could be a cowboy. If you were a girl, you could be a parent. That's a parent. That's a baby, not a surfboard. You could be a teacher. You could be a receptionist. Do you know what a receptionist is? It's essentially someone who sits at the entrance of a building and tells everyone hi and greets them and makes their day better. And we were told only girls could do that. This seems a little wacky, right? So we knew that there was something wrong about it, and it was kind of uncomfortable. And so along the way, we figured out that maybe even women could be farmers, or at least farmers' wives, and men could be teachers, especially if they wanted to be professors. And nobody got to work in factories anymore because that industry went away. But for the most part, some dads got to be parents. We even let men pour cereal in breakfast commercials. And this felt revolutionary. But see, we thought that you still had to be a girl or a boy. You still had to pick one at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. But then we looked at kiddos who were younger than us, and we figured out that you didn't have to choose between being a boy or a girl. Maybe you could be both. Maybe you could do things that were masculine and feminine, and maybe the way you presented in the world didn't have to do anything with your body parts, and maybe there were some different gender options. And in fact, maybe we didn't have to be these things at all. Okay, so then what we're going to do for money, maybe it won't be one of these jobs. Maybe when we ask what you're going to do when you grow up, you could be smart. That's a brain. You could be strong. So that helped. But the thing is, when we were growing up, there were tons of jobs that we didn't even know existed. And the other thing that we were told, just like boy or girl, is that whatever job we picked, you picked at about 15 or 16, you went to school or you studied it or you learned it from someone, and then that's what you were for the rest of your life. Yes, kiddos, we were told that the job that you picked at 19 years old was the job you were going to retire from at 65. Can you imagine only having one job for your whole life? Only being that one thing? That's what we were told was going to happen to us. No wonder we were broken. No wonder that cup felt too tight for us and our water couldn't flow, because we had picked something as a teenager when our brains weren't quite fully developed that we then had to be for the rest of our lives. And we were told if we did it well, we got the golden prize of retirement when you didn't have to work anymore. This was all a joke. Like, it was just ridiculous. So what we're learning from you all, one, is that you can be lots of things. NB, girl, boy, whatever, gender creative, long-haired, short-haired, everything. And then job-wise, this economy, the world we created says you're going to probably have to be all of those at some point or another. And maybe that's not how you should define yourself. And there are jobs we never even thought of that exist now. Zoom coordinator, social media influencer, podcast host, DoorDash driver. We never imagined these things. And we have lots of feelings about what it's like to be called those things. What if someone knows I'm a DoorDash driver? What if someone knows I'm a farmer? Here's the thing. What we're learning from kiddos is when we ask, who are you and what do you want to be? As adults, you give us the best answers. You say, I'm Freddie. I'm Imani. And you tell us your names because that's who you are. And one day your name might be Imani and the next day it might be chicken. And those things are both true. And when we say, what do you want to be? You say things like, I want to be warmer. It's too cold in here. I want to be full of ice cream. I want to be at the playground. And we watch you play and you do pretend to be all of those jobs. But sometimes you pretend to be the podcaster who works on a farm tending cows while being very strong and delivers dinner. Because you understand that we can be like water and we can flow and we can be a million things at once. So here's the thing, kiddos. We really, really need you to keep teaching us because it's hard to be told all of the ways you have to border yourself in. And we'll work really, really, really hard not to ask you what you're going to be when you grow up, and instead ask you who you are right now. And we're going to work on asking each other, who are you? What do you love? What is right now? Because you're multitudes and every little facet is amazing. Keep loving us and we'll keep loving you. You are so very loved and so very powerful.
Mary, you are an absolute treasure. Mayhem, I'm getting ready to do joys and sorrows. Can you kind of refrain if you could? Caterwauling. It is a time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share, to support each other, and to connect. So please write any joys or sorrows or what you want our community to know about. Please put your name at the beginning so I know who it is. And if you want it to be private, only to me and not to be shared, please, please, please put the word private at the beginning and send it to just the panelists so that I can hold it in my heart. While you're entering your joys and sorrows, let me mention a few in our world. As the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan continues to unfold in the wake of the US bringing our armed forces back home and assisting our allies in escaping the unfolding chaos, let's keep all of the people involved in this process in our thoughts and prayers. As parents make decisions on how to safely send their children back to school in light of their concerns around COVID-19 and the Delta variant, let's remember to keep all the folks, especially the kiddos who are grappling with these circumstances, whatever their viewpoints, in our thoughts and prayers. And also remember to keep our healthcare providers in our thoughts and prayers as they deal with all of the ramifications from the pandemic. I'd also like to personally wish my cousin, Christina Foster, a happy birthday, as today is her birthday. So let me see what we have. I know one of them is that Kendra's birthday is in 1 week and 3 days. So happy birthday, Kendra. And this is from Mary McManus. I am in Washington, D.C. right now. Moved into my dorm on Friday. A huge joy, a big joy, she said. I said it was huge. Nigel is turning 13 in 3 days. He'll be officially a teenager. Wow. Wow. This is from Benji Messer. I just got back from a vacation, staying with new and old friends. It was wonderful, but it's good to be back in Phoenix with you all too. And we welcome you back, Benji. And this is from John Williamson. Joy that his daughter, Mary Ann, is maintaining a leasing manager at her apartment complex in North Scottsdale, despite many challenges, such as shortage of maintenance staff. So I'm assuming that John's daughter is a leasing manager at her apartment complex, right? Nishit's family. Joy that Dylan is having a great time at ASU, and of sorrow, of course, is that we miss him at home. Oh man, it is sorrow. Terry and Glenn Lockwood sharing a joy. I mean joy. Uh-oh. Drum roll, please. Donovan and Nashita Lockwood welcome Arhan Blair Lockwood to the world on August 19th. Welcome to the club, Glenn and Terry. Oh, we're lucky to have an in-person meeting planned for this coming weekend. We are grandparents. I'm sorry. I just got back from a week with my grandkids and it's getting me. Congratulations, Glenn and Terry and your whole family. Bella shares a joy. Bela, yeah, like Bela Fleck. Bela is sharing a joy. I'm reunited with my brother Nigel again. This message is from Bonnie Frazier. I had a wonderful visit to my sister in Colorado. Had not been able to see her for 2 years because of the virus. Wow. A joy. I have been going to Katie's Monday AM meditation group, and I love the group and getting more of Katie's good energy. Katie got plenty good energy, y'all. I'm telling you. Joy. Let's see. No name. Oh, this is from Beth. Okay. After a several months job search, I got a great gig at Grail, which is a novel multi-cancer early detection test that will change the lifespan of people throughout the world. Congratulations, Beth. This message is from Kathy Kopek, and it's a joy. I am thrilled to be teaching nurse practitioner students again at George Washington University. I am thrilled to be supporting the students. Wow. This is from Penelope, and her joy is that my friend, I'm assuming Viv, is in my class. This next one is from Bill and Joan. We will see our granddaughter and great grandson for lunch today. Bon appetit. And this is a sorrow from the Talbots on health issues and on the loss of their beloved dog, Lexi. I think that might be it. I'm gonna wait, scroll back and forth just to see, make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay. And as always, there are joys and sorrows that we choose for a variety of reasons to hold in our hearts, and we make room for those within our collective spirit as well. I invite you to a time of meditation and prayer. Center yourselves. Put your feet on the floor if you wish to help you settle in place. And take a few deep, deliberate breaths along with me or on your own as you choose. Amen. Blessed be, and Ashe.
This one's called Be Still. It's an original. It's written mid-pandemic when everything was out of control. And I was in the throes of a full-fledged panic attack, and my girlfriend turned to me and just said, "Be still." And this just kind of fell out. Sir, all the mooring has come loose. I don't know how long ago. We've been adrift at sea. For how long, I don't know. The clouds came rolling in. They've blacked out all the stars. I don't know where I am. I don't know where we are. She still. Just listen for your breath. Somewhere in the waves, haven't left you yet. By the palm of my hand, letting waves set the pace. Out over troubled water, she led us in grace to the dance by the light of the moon, and some warm embrace. She said, be still, trust in me. She said, be still, just listen for your breath. Somewhere in the waves, haven't left you yet.
Wow. I volunteered to work with Bob on this service, so because I just was so happy that he was gonna do it, and it's been everything that I had possibly hoped. Oh, the experience of working with him, the experience of getting to know him a little bit better, it's just been such a self-fulfilling type thing. Okay, so I just spent a week with my family on vacation in Maryland and find myself constantly amazed at my beautiful granddaughters and the way they experience the world. From my vantage point as a grandfather, I've determined that all their characteristics are embedded in them from birth. My role as a pop is to teach, nurture, encourage, and love them unconditionally. I shared with Bob how little I really knew about Buddhism as it related to my reflection this morning, and he laughed and said, get in line behind him. However, I did share with him that as a facilitator in the UUA's Our Whole Lives Health, Sexuality, and Critical Thinking program, that I learned so much more about myself than I ever taught your children. To spend 26 sessions with a group of 7th and 8th graders is an absolute wonder. Their willingness to be open, vulnerable, curious, confused, and tolerant simultaneously, while their voices are changing and they're growing and hair's coming out of strange spots, is simply beautiful. It's like watching her rose open in real time. They have inspired me at a time They have inspired me at a time when I thought I'd seen it all. Over the course of the 5 cohorts that I facilitated, along with Seisha, Professor Jeff, the late Jennifer Hemphill, Kathleen, Katie, Laurie, Rajiv, Sarah, and anybody that I might have left off the list, my worldview has been honed and reshaped in ways that continue to help make me a better person. Not perfect or even attempting perfection, thank you, Katie. More like unconditional acceptance of my own knowledge and experience, of my ability to find enlightenment, of my own level of tolerance and understanding of my own sexuality, health, and critical thinking skills. And while COVID-19 brought the OWL program to a screeching halt for my 6th cohort, my prayer is that we can figure a way collectively to serve the needs of all of our children in a selfless fashion that allows all that's in them to find its way out. And to personally find a way to reconnect with my 6th cohort, that while they are no longer those 7th and 8th graders, they are still the wonderful people that we got a chance to interact with ever so fleetingly. And as I was writing this, it came to me that while I can't make up the time that wasn't shared by us as a group, the best I can do to honor the time we shared together is to be a better facilitator for the next group that I am fortunate enough to learn from, however long we are together.
Stunning 8K resolution meditation app. In honor of the revolution, it's half off at the Gap. Deadpool self-awareness, loving parents, harmless fun. The backlash to the backlash to the thing that's just begun. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. The Surgeon General's pop-up shop, Robert Iger's face. Discount Etsy agitprop, Bugle's take on race. Female Colonel Sanders, easy answer, Civil War. The whole world at your fingertips, the ocean at your door. The live-action Lion King, the Pepsi halftime show. 20,000 years of this, 7 more to go. Carpool karaoke, Steve Aoki, Logan Paul. A gift shop at the gun range, a mass shooting at the mall. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. Reading Pornhub's terms of service, going for a drive, and obeying all the traffic laws in Grand Theft Auto 5. Full agoraphobic, losing focus, cover blown. A book on getting better, hand delivered by a drone. Total disassociation, fully out your mind. Googling derealization, hating what you find. That unapparent summer air in early fall. The quiet comprehending of the ending of it all. There it is again, that funny feeling. That funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling. That funny feeling. Hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. Just wait. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da. Hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da.
Hi, I am Bob Davis, as I introduced myself before, and I imagine the last song wasn't exactly the song you were expecting in the Preschool Buddhism service. And to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting it either. So, the guy who sings the song is a comedian named Bo Burnham, and it's from his special Inside, which he recorded entirely by himself during the lockdown, and I personally think it's genius. And I would like to avoid the trap of over-explaining and killing the joke, but because of copyright stuff, there's a high probability that the song will be cut from the uploaded version of the service, so I'll try to explain enough. The gist of the song is, somehow, if you explicitly and plainly state the reality of life that causes our existential dread, you somehow end up with a funny feeling. But somehow, even though it's funny, it's still incredibly depressing. It's like both things at once, and neither at the same time. It's a contradiction that is easy to state, but perhaps really difficult to comprehend. Like, as difficult as like the Buddhist idea that if a person works to understand themselves, they will eventually realize that there is no self and they don't exist. And there is no self, but I think I'm getting ahead of myself, or whatever that means. When I got tapped to do this sermon, I said yes because Carrie and Sam asked me, and you do not say no to those people. So I spent a very long time trying to think about what I could even begin to contribute to the service. I am very far from having my stuff figured out, and I eventually figured that I've been teaching professionally for the majority of my life, and that was probably the safest to talk about that. I worked out a talk on how to teach young kids to navigate conflict, but it just ended up sounding more like a TED talk than a church talk. And for my dear, shrewd Unitarian Universalist brethren, there is in fact a difference between a TED talk and a sermon. At least I like to think there should be. Anyways, I eventually found out my talk was missing that spiritual element. The work I do with preschoolers shares a lot of the same thought processes as a Buddhist practiced. I have had some introduction to Buddhist ideas and how meditation works through some personal therapy I've had, and I've played with the idea of giving a talk on Buddhism preschool. to the point where when the deadline hit for the name of the sermon, that was the direction I was going to go. But I hit a big stumbling block. Now, I don't know if you all know about this, but people like me, white men, we have this weird habit of appropriating other people's cultures and even religions. And we sometimes speak for others that we have no right speaking for. And the accusation has been leveled that we maybe sometimes, absolutely always, see ideas we have formulated or adopted as supreme, making us the people with the answers, the ability to offer help and lay judgment on the behavior of others. If you would only understand our point, you would see that we are right. So yeah, it quickly became apparent that any attempt to explain Buddhism was going to quickly devolve into a disingenuous, uninformed splain-town situation. And if I was going to lead a service where I presented new ideas that had any hope of being at all spiritual and genuine, all I really could do is offer my own experience. So, here's that. If you don't know, I teach 3-year-olds at the Early Education Co-op on the church campus. The co-op is a preschool that focuses on kids' social emotional development. They call my class, the 3-year-old class, the conflict class. It's where kids get to learn to share. Like, hey, share that teacup with me, or I will share this knuckle sandwich with you. It's great. But really, I love it. I thrive in conflict when I'm not in it. When a child gets angry, my brain can see the individual moving parts of the situation and help break it down. Before I started teaching 3-year-olds, I taught high schoolers at a Title I school. And there's a funny feeling in how teaching high schoolers requires the same conflict management as 3-year-olds. And I've often made the joke that I started teaching 3-year-olds because the only difference between them and high schoolers is a 3-year-old hook just can't quite dislodge teeth with the same intensity. But the joke is missing the truth. I actually prefer the rush and real drama of high-strung high school emotions. You could at least rationalize with high schoolers, like to some extent. I truly believe that kids hold the only hope for humanity. And that sounds cheesy. I kind of sound like Whitney Houston with like 1/16 the vocal range and none of the cool factor. But I really do. So let me explain with a jarring segue. I have not handled the past year and a half very well. Oh, you've handled it great. You've been having a blast. Oh, well, cool for you. Yeah. Because after watching things like our governor use children's lives as capital in a political game of poker, I have basically lost all faith in humanity. But that doesn't sound like a healthy perspective? Well, yeah, it's not a healthy perspective at all. And that's why you pay a therapist. Earlier in the service, I played a song that I wrote after finding myself having fully lost track of the days during COVID, lying splayed out on the living room floor after a bottle of wine and nothing else but an end of the world news cycle for weeks. Having this wonderful thing people call a panic attack. And my girlfriend turned to me and helped me get through that and said, be still. And I was able to write a little song and also said, you probably should check in with your therapist. So I did the right smart thing and I checked in with my minister and my therapist and I assured them both that I was completely fine and I had everything together. And I think I remember Rev. Christine's response to my confidence with, yeah, well, no one has it together, so there's that. Yeah. My therapist, who I swear is secretly trying to convert me to Taoism or something, keeps meeting my confident assertions about how I'm fine with gentle reminders to work on that breathing. And that I one time said I kind of remind of a thing in a book. And it's in a book called Why Buddhism is True. Now, I was eager to learn about this because everything he was teaching me about being aware of my own emotions, I already knew. I know how to cry, my dude. I'm a preschool teacher. I don't need to learn anything. Now, I want to explain this book to you because it did something in my brain and changed the perspective. Now, I'm not going to try to summarize Robert Wright's book, Why Buddhism is True. The book in and of itself is in part a sort of an attempt to summarize Buddhism and how it fits in with behavioral science understanding of consciousness. But I will tell you that you absolutely should read it. Or if you're like me, you can listen to the audiobook. Again, his name is Robert Wright. And the book is Why Buddhism is True. And I'll try to do my best to summarize what I was able to pull from the book. So, in meditation, the goal is sometimes to try and not think about anything, just to be present. If you were to try that right now, I wonder if we could be successful. Let's try it. Take it. Well, my phone just rang and I got a text, so I'm thinking about that. I'm not thinking about anything. It's a hard process and you will screw up continuously. And if you've ever attended any type of meditation training with Katie or anyone else, you'll realize that that's a really hard thing to do. Now, Wright talks about his difficulties in the process and interviews people who are considered very experienced meditators. At one point, he talks about how experienced meditators talk about having the ability to focus on distraction and distractions like pain, like such as a toothache. And they can study that pain and through studying it, lessen the intensity or immediacy of the pain. They explain a feeling of the pain by being looked at. The meditator is able to disconnect it from themselves. They also describe how feelings can be surprising on how they feel when they're studied. A toothache, for example, may have the feeling of your cheek being hot as well as the root of the tooth with a sharp pain. There's two different feelings. You're hot on your cheek, your tooth is sharp in pain, your gums are sore, and all those are together one feeling but different. And see, I found this really fascinating because I experienced this with kids every day at my job. In my field, when discussing a child's feeling, we try to keep the words as literal and empty of value as possible. So for example, we wouldn't say a child is crying. That implies a value, an intent. We're saying you're upset. They may not be upset and they don't know yet. So instead, what we do is we say things like, I see your eyebrows are furrowed or rolled up. Furrowed is even a word with value. You want to say very literal. I see your eyebrows are rolled and squished. I see your cheeks are pulled down. I see your foot hitting the floor. I see your fists are clenched. And I also see there's water coming out of your eyes. And you don't say crying. You say water. And there's this really, my favorite part of my job, beautiful moment that happens at least 12 to 15 times a year. There's a kid who they touch their face. And they're surprised to find water. And they're surprised to find they don't know that they're crying, or they don't know that there's water coming out of their face. My favorite explanation one kid gave to me, he was a lot like me, a lot of denial. He said, "That's not tears. That's water from the refrigerator." He had logically gone back and realized that he drank water earlier that day. It went through his system and came out of his eye, but he was not crying at all. The kid's a genius. Also going to have to do a lot of work on connecting those two feelings, and that's what I helped him with. But that's what I do with the little kids. And so with Buddhism, though, when the next step is if you keep looking in that feeling of tears, you can separate that feeling from who you are. You can say, I am sad. That sad, not I am sad. That sad feeling belongs to me, but I am not that feeling. It's a part of me, but it's not what I am. And so you do that with that. And then you do that maybe with like happiness. Like I am overjoyed. Maybe I talk too much and I get really excited like I am right now and I talk really fast. And then I want to slow down. And the way to slow down in meditation is you stop and you think about that happy feeling and you put that over here. And you say, that happiness is a part of me, but I am also other things. And you separate that and you say, I can feel my heart race when I get excited. I can feel my hands clench when I get excited. My mouth gets dry and my tongue moves fast and runs against the back of my teeth. All those feelings are there and they're all separate parts. And I can separate and dissect and just remove, like a word is disassociate those feelings. And if you do that, according to Richard Wright's book and the research that he's done and the people he's met, there's a place where you keep putting this here, and this here, and this here, and this here. And eventually you start to question, well, where am I looking from? If all these things are over there, where am I? And if you do it for long enough, people who are very experienced claim that there is nowhere. You are nowhere. Because in fact, you do not necessarily exist like we think. And it's a contradiction. Because I am feeling all these things and I have to exist, but you're not. You are all of those things and nothing at once. And that's like the big, heavy feeling from Buddhism that is terrifying and existentially horrifying, but also liberating in a really weird way. Now, it doesn't absolve you from those awful feelings. Those awful things you said, those still belong to you. They may not be all that you are, but they are a part of you. So you can run the risk with Buddhism of being like, I'm not responsible for my feelings because nothing is me. And that's a dangerous place to go. And if you have a good meditation teacher, they'll put you back on track, hopefully. So for me and my experience, when I walked into therapy the first time, things were not great. That's usually how you get to therapy. And I walked in, I had my cowboy boots on, my jeans, a nice shirt, and I was strong, and I was ready to work it out. And I walked in and I said, hey man, look, I am ready. I got it all figured out. I know I'm not feeling good. All I need to do is how to make that stop. And he looked at me, and I can only imagine what he saw. He saw not a very big guy, all elbows, kind of squirrely, long, stringy hair, poorly groomed face. Talking about being a big bad cowboy and this contradiction. And I was lucky enough that he said, hey, you are that, but you're also that. And you're both of those things at once. And for like 4 years, that's basically all I've been working on, is being both of those things together and that contradiction. And feeling really stupid for not understanding that, but then realizing that that is also a bad feeling, and those all things come together. Anyways, how does this relate to the kids? I am bad at this. I am bad at being present. I can do all the things. I can be absent, but not present. And if we flash back to that moment on the floor, full panic attack, the world is ending, and currently still is, I'm not denying that it's not, freaking out. Rev Christine helped, my friends helped, therapy helped. One thing really helped. I was terrified of losing my job. How do you teach 3-year-olds when you can't touch them and see them? You can't. It goes against all the rules. And so we didn't know what to do, but we knew these kids needed connection, so we tried to Zoom with them. And I don't know if you've ever tried to Zoom with a 3-year-old. It's a wild ride. You are not in control. They are. So what we did is I just turned my camera on, and we had the parents put them in front of kids, and I said, don't tell the kids what to do, just put them up, and we'll do this thing. And I went and I saw I just turned on Mr. Rogers, because I figured he knew what to do, right? And when you watch Mr. Rogers, he has these things, like I call them keystones, where he walks in every time, he sings the same song. He takes his shoes off, puts new shoes on. He puts a sweater on, and every sweater I learned that he put on was made by his mother, every one. But he always changes the sweater. And then he goes and he feeds this fish, because you got to feed the fish. And then he goes and checks in with the trolley. And other things happen. Sometimes the mailman comes, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he gets letters, sometimes he goes on a walk. But those things always happen, then he leaves. And those things happen every time. And so I knew that that's what these kids needed, because they needed that. I needed to give this to these kids. And so I turned on my screen and I said, hey guys, and I picked up my guitar and I played a song every day. I colored a little bit with no goal. And then we checked in on my garden and I showed that I just watered my plants for them. And they were very interested in that. And after the week, I said, you know what? I've got this. I'm giving these kids what they need. And then really, I realized I wasn't. See, kids get it. A kid can be a fireman in pretend play. A kid can be a dragon slayer. A kid can be a flight attendant or a pilot. A kid can also, in the next moment, be the baby in pretend play. They can be the mommy or the daddy taking care and making dinner. And they switch one, two, other in pretend play. And if you play with kids, it's all those things all together. And they switch. And what we don't see as a strength is they never have an identity crisis. Because as a 36-year-old man, if I were all of those things, that would immediately cause like full mental traction and I would not know what to do. I can't be all of those things at once, and they have no problem being those things because they're each individually there. And that's a strength. And we could sit back and go, how amazing is that? But there's one thing they also see that I didn't see. They also know how to pretend to be every day. They pretend to live life. And pretending is a real thing. It's not pretending like it's fake. It's real. They like to pretend. They like to play the role of watering plants every day. They like to pretend and play the role of singing together. They like to pretend and play the role of giving a hug. It's what you do. They understand the steps. My garden's a very important thing because I have a very close friend. Many of you know them. It's Katie's wife, Len. Len came to my house when I was in a really bad place. And I couldn't get my paperwork together. Everything was all. And she was sitting on my porch like Len does, not saying anything. And then she looked at my garden. She said, hey, Bob, your garden looks really good. It's a 4x4 square box. And I was like, thanks. She's like, yeah, your mental health must be doing nice. That's the surest sign. And it was a weird correlation, and it made me cry because it was right. The ability to wake up and water a plant every day is a big job. And it's as big as being the fireman. It's as big as being a pilot. It's as big as all those things. And that's what kids see, and that's what Len saw, and that's what Buddhists see, is that all of those things are of equal value. And when we step back, it looks like kids get it because it's almost more important to feed yourself. But all of those things are separate but equal. And so I hope that I haven't made a point. I hope that I haven't, because I was raised in the Christian culture of giving a sermon, and here's the point, and go home, and here's your moral judgment, and here's what you're going to do, and you're going to be a better person if you follow these things. I hope you leave very confused, because as I've learned, that's actually a real skill, is being totally confused. And if I've done that for you, I hope so. But I do know one thing to do. I'll teach you something my kids taught me. At the end of every week, we do one thing, and it's called dance time. And they don't want to sing. They don't want to get together. They just want to get up and they want to dance like a bunch of wild animals to the same 5 songs every week, all year long. Like a song like Johnny Be Good, I've played probably in the upwards of like 20,000 times, to the point that I hated it and then I loved it again. So I'm going to play a song for you. It's by Sturgill Simpson. You can sing along. I think someone might put the lyrics in the chat. If you don't want to sing along, absolutely fine. If you want to get up and dance, I think my preschoolers would tell you, that's what you're supposed to do. So if you want to get up and dance like a complete insane person, lose control of yourself. If you want to sit and listen to the words, they're kind of deep and cool. Whatever you choose, you do that. I'm going to get ready here and we'll just play this live.
and Pocahontas in the cranberry glades. Ain't got bars nor the charge to call her anyways. My mind's a mile a minute and my thoughts to bark like hounds. I focus on my breathing and the universal sound. I think about my darling girl sleeping all alone. I pray the stars will shoot her all the wishes she can hold. On the day that I return, I aim to lay her down, but right now I'm focused on the universal sound. I think about tobacco juice and mason jars of shine. I think about the vices I've let take me over time. I recall when I was a baby, I didn't need nothing around but a little bitty rattler and the universal sound. I close my eyes, it was all so clear. It was all right then, it was all right here. I focus on my breathing and the universal sound. I let it take me over from the toenails to the crown of the body that I'm in. Well, they put me in the ground and I return to the chorus of the universal sound. I've been up on the mountain and I've seen his wondrous grace. I've sat there on a bar stool and I've looked him in the face. He seemed a little haggard, but it did not slow him down. He was humming to the